Could do with about 8.6
Yes,
million
you
or
could.
whatever it is.
Yeah, that would solve our problem.
Do you want to change places, Councillor?
No, I'm quite happy here. Right. When you're ready, Jill?
Yes.
Right, okay. Welcome everyone to the Finance Tollbridge Fund Finance Committee. We've got an agenda here, and today is the 16th. So, first of all, are there any apologies for absence received?
Yes, Chair, thank you. Councillor D. Carter has a work commitment, Councillor P. Carter has a work commitment, and Councillor D. Marie has a work commitment.
Thank you. Item 2, do we have any declarations of interest? Right. Item 3, the minutes of the Finance Committee. Any queries, questions, or challenges to them?
Chair, the meeting about the Empire Cinema, we'll discuss that under the property
We-
manager's report, will we? Or
Well, we only had a very brief meeting with the property manager about the Empire Cinema. As I last left it, the tenant that had agreed that the fire alarm would be installed and that he would be discussing with the property manager some additional changes for fire safety at his own expense. But I believe the property manager is away the whole of this week, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Right, okay, because I think provisionally said we wanted to have a meeting with the tenant this week, but if he's not here, there's no point in that. So could I ask you to arrange something as soon as possible, please?
Yeah.
Okay. So really, we just had a discussion about where we would fund the installation of the fire alarm, and that would be another step on the progress towards making the building exactly as it should be. Okay. The other point I wanted to raise is if we looked at performance of the Quilter Investment Fund, just for an update, we three of us were able to meet yesterday to discuss ways forward to pick up the action there, which was to detail a scope that could be submitted to 2 or 3 investment managers, financial planners to progress the review of investments. We've agreed there's a number of actions on the 3 of us to first of all find out who really is a player in this field, because it is rather a specialist niche. We have a fairly small portfolio of about 5 million, and most of the investment fund managers tend to work in much larger sums. But there are a few people, so I've got some contacts with people who work either with or are trust or are members of the board of various charities. So I've asked them to come back to me. We're also going to speak to NALC, who may have some information about who might be a suitable person to take from here. There's going to be also further discussions with some of the existing providers. Obviously, to my contacts, I've not mentioned the name of our present fund manager, because I think that's a bit unfair. We'll have to wait and see what comes back from them. Okay.
no.
John Clark, did you have a comment?
Sorry, no, I was just checking we were still talking about the draft minutes. I didn't know if we...
Yeah, we've sorted the answer, and I was going to do that.
Now, I'm just adding information about the draft minutes.
Thank you.
Otherwise, are the draft minutes acceptable?
No.
Rose, all right. Thank you.
So you
Second.
proposed to do- oh, sorry.
Second.
So Councillor Mack, thank you. Councillor Wallace, thank you.
Right. The next item on the agenda is the public participation. Have we got any requests for public participation?
No request, Chair.
Thank you. We'll move on to item 5, which is the payment schedules even. And again, it's similar that to the point that the chair of the previous committee mentioned. We had this meeting with the interim finance officer, and I think we would just ask for your patience for a little while, and that we hope we'll have everything in place for the September meetings and everything firing on all 4 cylinders. Any questions about that?
No.
Any happy then to accept that? I'll propose that we accept those schedules.
Unless there's a question.
Any questions about them?
Fine.
So, sorry, who proposed?
Councillor Black's proposed.
I propose.
Duke is seconding.
Thank you.
And this is the payment schedules.
Yes.
Yep.
All of them.
All of them?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
The next item we've got is to receive the Quilter Cheviot report and to examine that. It seems to me that performance has, which is item attachment 2D, the performance is slightly better than it was at the same period last year, but is still not wonderful in comparison with people such as the benchmark for charities and obviously for MSCI, so I think there's quite a way to go. The return overall at 5.8% is better than it was last time, but there are still shortages compared to other comparators. I don't think there's much else that we can say at the moment unless anybody else wishes to make a comment.
No. There's no movements, no dividend payments or anything in the month.
No. So, shall I propose that we receive this report?
Yeah, I'm happy to second.
Thank you. There, item 6, which is an Empire Cinema update. This is to consider a report from the property manager, the request for agreement for expenditure to progress the change of title. I have to say I was a bit surprised at the price being quoted, but then I'm not an expert on property transfer, but it does seem to be recorded slightly unusually. If on the land registry it's recorded as being part of the property of DDC, but DDC didn't exist at the time of the entry being made, which does seem a little bit odd, but so be. Town Clerk, could I ask, is this an estimate based on what a number of solicitors have quoted, or is this just a quote from one solicitor?
So, this is a quote from one solicitor that we used for Bible.
Right. It does seem a lot of money for what I thought was not particularly complicated.
I personally feel that we ought to roll up all of this legal work when we know the full extent as to what needs doing and to employ, and then it would be in a position where we can put it out to tender. We've already heard figures of 10, 12,000 and there's another 2,000. And whilst I appreciate the division between the town council and the toll bridge fund, I think, you know, there's an opportunity, and we do have standing a panel of solicitors for the toll bridge fund, is my understanding. On our annual report, we list a number of solicitors who are appointed. So maybe we should be looking into those.
One risk I see in doing that, and I'm not averse to taking that approach, but the one risk I see is with the creation of the Unitary Council, the plates could stop spinning at that point. And if a document, for example, says it belongs to the district, and that moves up to the Unitary Council, there is a risk that we're told, well, actually, it's our name on it, it's got to be ours. Just whether that's a big risk or a small risk, but it is a risk.
Yeah. Well, in terms of the timescales, how long would it take? It's going to take these people a couple of months at least, isn't it?
Oh, you're not going to be running until 2028 is what we were told. So.
This is what we were told, Councillor Anderson.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think Councillor Gray has already offered to take a look. I don't know whether that would be of any use.
advice you're not paying for, you can't rely on it really because
And he's
and
not,
he's not practicing.
he's not
solicitor.
insured for professional
Exactly,
purposes.
exactly. I would really urge you not to take that approach. I don't think that's.
Well, I
Okay,
just thought we
well-
might be able to say
Does this sound way out of?
30,000, or this would actually not be a huge amount of work.
I think it's a might be useful question to ask without getting the full legal advice about the situation. Dan Clark, can I ask, are you aware of any reason why we couldn't merge this into a wider portfolio as has been suggested by Councillor Green?
I think what the property manager is saying to me is he wants to get one of these properties in the right, because that will then lay the groundwork to make the others. You know, once we deal with one, and this one is fairly urgent, you know, because of the situation, then at least then we'll know that the legal approach that has been used for one should be able to be straightforward and mirrored for others. But I think you're right, it's a substantial amount of money. And I know that previous town clerk did work before I was here, and I think at that period of time it was somewhere circa about £30,000 to do the legal work. That was the quote I think that came through at the time. So we are talking about lots of funds, but the situation is that's why the council's never done anything before, because every administration is faced with the same problem. It's a lot of money to correct things that have, for decades nobody's taken the grasp the nettle, as they say.
Thank you, Councillor Wiles.
Yeah, I understand this box was found in
Yes.
your office. Has there been any,
Sorry, councillor, it's not mine.
No,
It's
in
in the
the
RSO's
council's
office, yes.
just
Besides,
a couple of questions. One is, do you think there are any further boxes that have not been looked at? And two, is the property manager developing a kind of physical asset register which, for each asset will contain all of the relevant documents?
Yes, so that box was found, and that did spring up 2 or 3 documents that had been missing. That was quite exciting to locate them. And basically, they had all been boxed up and sent to a solicitor before the pandemic. That's why they were all together. So solicitors have looked at this previously, and they have said that there are fees, to correct all these things. And that, like I say, that's you're still in that cycle. Until a council administration, agrees that, and I think you're going to be, I'm just speaking personally. I think there is the potential you need to raise the precept more than 5%, because you might have to say to residents, we have these issues, we need to correct them legally. That does come at a cost. It's a complex issue, but I think until you do one and get that successfully transferred into the correct name, it's a bit difficult to. I think this is what the property manager's approach is, to do one, to get that correct, and then hopefully this will lay the groundwork to say that to a solicitor, okay, so that one was done this way, can we please then progress with others?
okay, as far as the STBF properties are concerned, they are, I suspect they were in this large bundle that were apparently sent to some solicitors before the pandemic. Does that mean that the solicitor would have had a view of it and they might give us a better rate?
I don't know if I don't think they'd give you a better rate. I mean, the fees probably will have increased since then. I mean, I'm talking about now, about 2019, 2020. All I can say is...
It's worth asking the question.
As a Scotsman.
Well, yeah, Councillor Chuka.
So, I'm sort of sitting on the fence in the sense that I completely agree with Councillor Green's view about doing it as a group effort, but I also agree with the fact, why don't we run with this particular request, because actually it's out of the STBF and the governing document clearly says what the first priority is, looking after the assets, and this is an asset and it is at fault, so correcting it and it being paid for out of the STBF to me makes sense if I had to have an argument over which one we might do as a pathfinder.
Thank you.
I accept. I think, having listened to the discussion, I would waver and agree with the town clerk.
Can I?
Councillor Pennington.
Thank you. I just have three questions in my mind. Firstly, are we aware what the exact legal problems are and what needs to be done? Secondly, I suspect that each of these cases is rather different, so I would like to have some assurance that they can be bundled together. And thirdly, I think we do need to think about timing for the different assets, and whether we need to spend money now or when it might be necessary.
Okay, so I think they're very valid questions. Some of them, of course, are SDC or STBF. Is it the view of this meeting that we should use this as the trailblazer to learn from, and we should obviously seek to get the very best rate, which I'm sure is being done already, but we use this as the trailblazer and find out what the problems really are. This one does seem a bit unusual to be in the name of an organisation that did not exist at the time. Quite how that happened.
I think my concern, thinking a bit more about it, is that what is this solicitor going to do? And probably in the first instance they're going to contact Dover District Council. And are they going to get a quick and positive response, or is it going to become protracted and kicked into the long grass by them? I'm just, it's a risk. You take these people on, they draft a letter, send it off, and they don't get a response. So it's no guarantee that the work will be done.
Well, is this not a case for using our district councillors to ensure that it doesn't get kicked into the long grass?
But isn't that the reason why the estimated cost of 2,000 just, what we've got is a tri-party agreement that needs to be reached, which is with the land registry, which is with us, and it's also with DDC. So there's an amount of drafting, there's an amount of inquiries. The key thing is, STBF, this is an asset within that charity portfolio. It is not correct. Now we either ignore it, we do what previous administrations have done, which is just ignore the whole problem, and then we won't spend any money. Equally, we might want to bite off something and actually get it sorted for the charity, and that's the key thing.
And learn from the activity. Councillor Wells.
Yeah, we absolutely have to get this sorted out. It's, I can remember a year or more ago people saying we didn't need to appoint a property manager. I mean, this clearly is a justification for that, but to some extent we knew nothing and we were ignorant in our bliss of not knowing anything, but now that all these things have been uncovered, we clearly have to sort it out, otherwise, you can't even begin to manage or dispose of assets unless you can prove you own them in the first place.
Well, I'm happy to propose that we go with it on the proviso we put a cap of £3,000 on the fee, because it says in the region of 2,000, and we all know how legal fees can escalate.
That's a proposal there. Would anyone wish to second that?
Yes, I think.
We'll second that, Councillor Anderson. All in favour?
Thank you.
Right. Okay, thank you, folks.
Can we have a party when we actually get ownership?
Even watch a film.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's excellent. And then, Town Clerk, you'll, when the property manager comes back, you'll arrange for this meeting with the tenant.
Yes.
And I'll come along to that.
Yeah.
Right. I think, as far as I'm aware, that is the penultimate item on the agenda. So the next thing and the last thing we've got is item 7, the date and time of the next week meeting, Wednesday the 17th, following the STC F&GP. Thank you.
17th of September.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Scott Moss.
Meeting closed.
Meeting is now closed.
Yeah, thank you.
31, isn't it?